It's been fantastic, especially when you have a young team like we do. The first 5 or 6 practices were like invaluable, especially for me with the quarterbacks. We were able to not worry about getting ready for an opponent, was able to put them in a lot of different situations out there, really challenge their knowledge, their ability to think deductively and then react to what was happening out there. And it actually was fun for them too, because they knew there was going to be some potholes in that practice and traps for them, and they were really engaged with it and having fun with it. And the good thing is they kind of got the better of me. They were able to figure it out before I could trap them in practice. So it's been awesome as far as the player development's been. It's also been fantastic. Sometimes a team gets a little bored with the bowl practices, and so it's a little like pulling teeth at times. But this team has not been that way at all. I said to coach the other day, geez, man, they're ready to go again today. Most times there's a few days there where it gets a little mundane to them, especially when they've got to deal with finals and all that other stuff with the holidays coming up. But this team's been really a joy to be around and be out there, and their energy and the way they're committed to getting better every day.
What do you see in the improvement of Ty Johnson in his route running?
Well, his details. He's just so much better with his details than he was last year. He understands the game a lot better. He understands the different coverage looks he's getting and what they're trying to do and what's the best way to attack that particular look. So he plays faster because he has a really good command of what the defense is trying to do to him. And then I think the other thing that's really come along for him is he's done a much better job of catching the football. He's always made the spectacular catches since the first day I got here. He's made some spectacular ones, but he lacked consistency last year with it. And if I was critical of him in anything early in the year, was just lacked a little bit of consistency in catching the ball, not route running. He really turned the corner in that area, and you got to give Matt Simon, a ton of credit. These young kids at wideout, they're getting better every day and developing the right way. It's not when you see consistent growth throughout with players throughout a season. It wasn't just that particular defense that they saw that was a little bit easier for them to play fast and to just go out there and go. When you see that consistency, like they're really getting it. It doesn't have anything to do with memorization. It's just concepts, details that they're understanding and growing in that area. And it hasn't been all perfect. There's, every day, and today won't be perfect. We're going to watch the film, and there's going to be somebody's route that we're going to be like, hey, man, look, he's not on his instep right here or whatever with it. But just they've done a great job, all of them, the whole unit. And Ty's really been the leader because Ty sets that example every single day. So his leadership is the other thing that I've seen a ton of growth out of him. He leads by example, but at the same time, he puts a voice behind it at times, and at critical times, he's able to put a voice behind it, and those guys really respond to him.
Kirk, what do you think the benefit will be having all these young guys play this year, to be able to kind of learn on the job and then come back next year with that experience?
Well, I think one is, no matter who you are, the first time you're on the stage, it's a little different, than the practice field. And so they've been able to get that experience. It's one of the reasons I'm really excited about Curtis Dunlap, going to get a chance to get some real meaningful reps, in this bowl game. It's going to be really his first time when he's been on the stage where, he's in the main event. So I'm excited about that. But so they get that experience, but really, it's just the ability to learn lessons, these lessons that are going to carry over. And, sometimes no matter how many times you tell somebody the stove is hot, they still want to touch the stove, and until they touch that stove and get burned, then they're like, that's what he meant by the stove is hot. Yeah, that hurts. I'm not going to do that anymore. So those experiences that you get in those game days, and you simulate them in practice and you really want them to learn in practice, but sometimes things just don't come up into the game, and then when it really costs you, you know, you look at it's a critical play. Sometimes you can go through and you sit there and say, well, I only missed one block, or I only dropped one ball, or I only did this one thing. But when it's in the course of that game, when it's in practice, it's, oh, I had a good day. How'd you do today? I had a good day. Well, I missed that one. I just missed that one. Well, in the game, that one could have changed the story, you know. But it's going to happen to everybody. Nobody's perfect. We're human beings. We're not robots, you know. But when you learn that and then you're able to apply, that's why those details are so important. When we're doing a walkthrough, that's why he wants that step at 6 inches, not 12. You know, that's why you want your eyes in a certain place as a quarterback on that drop back pass play. So those experiences that you gain on game day are invaluable.
Will Curtis be playing? Or
Pardon
do
me?
you expect him to see his most time?
He'll play guard.
Okay.
You know, that's where he's worked all year. And then we'll figure it all out moving forward next year, as we always do in spring ball. We look at a lot of different combinations and, you know, try to figure out who the best 5 guys are. And then once we settle on that, then we focus on what are their best 5 positions.
It seemed like that group in particular made huge strides this year in terms of where they started the first couple of weeks. It looked sort of shaky, and then towards the end of the year, maybe it was the switch with Daniel coming in, but it seemed like they gelled.
Well, I think first of all, I think everybody looked shaky early in the year on offense. You know, we just weren't consistent. And it wasn't one particular position group or one particular guy. You know, it was everybody. We lacked consistency. We do some great things. We'd have a great drive, you know, and then we weren't able to maintain that consistency that we needed. And that was probably the best thing about the Wisconsin game, was that we had consistency in that game. You know, we made all the routine plays, and then we have enough talent that we're going to make some spectacular plays at times. But if you don't make the routine plays, you're off the field. You don't get enough opportunities for those spectacular things that would have happened out there. You know, so but the offensive line has really improved, and you know, that's a trademark of Brian Callahan. You know, having been with him at Western Michigan, the strides that his guys make on a year-over-year basis, you know, and that's what I'm really excited about. You know, these young guys, where are they going to be next year? Because the one thing I know about Brian is his linemen, they get better every single year. You know, and there's some great examples at Western Michigan. There's a couple guys in particular, one guy in particular that I can remember when we first got there and we were going through spring ball, and I was like, man, you're never going to be good enough. Never going to be good enough. And part of it maybe was just trying to get under Brian. But he's like, Coach, by the end of spring, he's like, Coach, he's going to be good enough. Watch. And, you know, and he struggled a little bit that first year for us. But he ended up being, I think, a second-round draft pick. So, yeah. And Callahan loves to remind me of that, too. Loves to remind me of that. But that's a trademark of his, and the credit's got to go to him and the kids. See, the coach can be great at developing players, but unless the player's fully committed to getting better every single day, you know, and reaching his fullest potential, it works. It still works, but it takes longer, you know. And that's where I'm really proud of these kids. They made a commitment last January. You know, we looked at the numbers. You know, I showed them the numbers. These are our numbers. This is what we did. We did. You know, and I told them, I said, we stink. That's the truth right now. And that was last January. But I said, that's the truth. Those are the facts. You know, but now what are we going to do about it? That's really what it comes down to right now. What are we going to do about it? Well, we got to get better every day. We got to maximize every second when we're in this building, and we're getting better to be trying to become the best football player we could possibly be. And that is easy to say, but really hard to do. You know, and that's where the culture of the program, you know, really can take over for you. But that's what this program demands every day, that we change our best, you know, and that we're not afraid to fail, because that's how we're going to grow.
You say numbers, you mean stats? Like where
Our stats. I mean, it's horrifying. You know.
But you know what? You look at scoring and total offense both. I mean, scoring's jumped 40 spots nationally. I think total offense 50 spots. What's the next step for this offense?
Well, you know, I try not to get too caught up in the statistics, even though I used them there because I wanted them to see the facts. You know, I didn't want there to be any excuses. These are what the numbers say, you know. But we've always approached it like this on offense, anywhere I've ever been, is our job is to score one more point than our opponent, you know. And so we're not worried about trying to be the #1 offense in the country. You know, I've been lucky enough to be around some really good offenses, and I can tell you right now that if we really cared, if that was really what was driving us, we would have been higher than we were. You know, so the thing what we're looking at moving forward is we got to keep that crack on our shoulder, stay hungry, because a hungry dog's a dangerous dog, and keep worrying about what we control the controllables, and that is getting better every single day. And then the results will take care of themselves, you know, and they always do. So we have plenty of talent. You know, we know that there's really, and finally I've been able to talk about this. We talk about 3 things that go into being an elite offense, you know, but there's really 4 things. And I've been talking to the kids about this at the last half of the year. You know, you have to take care of the ball. You know, you have to execute, and execution is about details, because football is a game of details, right? And then you got to play with the how, right? Well, you got to have those 3 things. But if you just have those 3 things, right, all you have is a well-coached football team. The results aren't going to be what everybody wants, right? When you combine that with elite players, talented players, now you got a chance to be an elite offense when you can take those 4 things. So,
what was your first impression of number 198?
198. The funny thing, he came on his visit, and I said, "Michael, what's up? How you doing?" And he looks at me and he goes, "Coach, that's the first time you've called me by my name," you know. And I was like, "I know 198." So the thing is, when we saw him, I just saw a natural playmaker, and I saw a kid who loves to compete and play the game. I mean, he couldn't, whatever drill they were doing, he couldn't wait to get up there and do it. And he was all out, and whether it was just a footwork drill or whether it was one-on-ones, you know, or running routes on air. So he had a great catch radius, really quick in and out of his breaks, and he loved to compete.
We have one more for Coach.
What are your thoughts on the 2 quarterbacks that you signed yesterday?
Very excited, you know, very excited about both of them. You know, it gives us some depth, and it creates more competition, which is what we want. We want to have competition everywhere. You know, the more competition, the better it is. You know, as long as they continue to compete with each other, not against each other. Competition is healthy when you're competing with each other. So I'm really excited about it. I feel like we've got the quarterback room is really headed in a really good direction right now with the guys we have, and then the 2 guys we're adding. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to getting them here in the spring and watching and them having an opportunity to compete. You know, and both of them are competitors. Both of them are winners. Both of them demonstrated to me that they have the intangibles that we're looking for at that position. Now we just got to get them here and see whether or not they can play, because the bottom line is you never ever know for sure until you get them out there and you start working with them with what their full potential is. But they've certainly demonstrated, both of them, that we should be excited about their future here.